The Texans defense, what makes them such a challenge?
Well, I think schematically they're kind of similar to what we saw in Indy, where they kind of just line up and do what they do. The wide nine front that Coach Burke and those guys, D'Amico, they're familiar with in San Francisco, really lets the D-line kind of tee off, and they're firing off the football, penetrating three technique, all the different things that you see in a lot of these fronts that we've started to see, they're doing a good job of. And obviously they have talented edge players. They have good, solid interior players as well to let the linebackers kind of clean everything up from there. So, you can see they're early on in their system. This is game 3 for them, playing a new system for some of the guys. Now, a lot of the free agent acquisitions, they all came up in this system somewhere or another. So they're familiar with it. But you can see it start to get implemented, and they're doing a good job. They play really, really hard.
I think the report came out this morning that Stingley got banged up at practice,
Yeah.
so might see Shaq Griffin. Just how would that change the game plan at all?
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to play the same thing. And Shaq, again, came up in Seattle, came up in this coverage scheme. So it's something he's familiar with. He played in the Indy game. You see him out there in that game as well. So a lot of these guys have played, whether it's in, obviously, this system in Houston getting implemented for the first time. A lot of these guys have come up in this system. That's really where Shaq kind of cut his teeth, playing in this style of coverage unit. So something he's very familiar with, obviously, and he's done it for a long time.
How are you dealing with some of the outside noise and pressure? I mean, cameras on you, frustrated during games. I'd assume this is probably the most criticism and pressure you've been under in your coaching career.
I was in Philly for 8 years.
That's fair.
So, no, I mean, outside noise doesn't affect us inside. And I'm here pretty much all day, every day. So I really don't have social media, don't listen to the radio, don't watch TV. I mean, I don't really have time to. So you're kind of ignorance is bliss. So, yeah, that doesn't really bother me at all.
Could you talk a little bit about, after watching film with the offensive line, what's your level of concern with the unit at this point? And obviously, Harrison had a tough time with Chris Jones.
Yeah, and he's not the first player to ever have a tough time with Chris Jones. So, certainly it's early in his career, and, at times we put him in a tough situation, and that's on us as coaches. We got to do a great job making sure we're protecting matchups and doing everything. And they kind of get you a little bit, and that they're a big pressure team, and you're trying to protect against the pressures, and then all of a sudden you realize you have the personnel matchup at times, so you're picking and choosing how you want to deal with it at certain times. But I think our offensive line is continuing to come together. It's week 2, or we just finished week 2, getting into week 3. We expect growth, and you see as you mix and match pieces through camp, you get Ben Barch back in here. There's some gelling that I think comes together that's to be expected. But I think everyone in our unit in general, offensive line, the offensive unit in general, we all think we need to play better in week 3 than we did week 2, for sure.
If Zay can't go this week, how much do you have to shift things when you put maybe Tim Jones on the field more?
Yeah, there's a possibility. We're fortunate in that we have versatile pieces. We have guys like Tim, guys like Ag that provide different elements. And then with our tight end room, being able to mix and match 12 personnel, 13 personnel to give us some of the elements we get. It's, from a coaching staff perspective, it's certainly a lot easier to know early on if a guy's playing or not. If it's a guy that ends up being a game time decision or something happens on game day, that's where it gets tough to mix and match and change your game plan as you go. So we're doing everything we can to communicate with the training staff to get a feel for where Zay is and what we expect out of him, but we'll continue to be able to massage our plan either way.
Last time the Texans were here, the offense had a little bit of a rough day out. How much do you look at that, since there's so much different around that team this go around?
Yeah, you really don't pay attention to that. I mean, the personnel has changed. Obviously, the scheme has changed pretty dramatically. That was a more cover 2 based coverage unit, and then this tends to not be like that as much. So that's not something necessarily we pay attention to.
Do you go back and look at San Fran and how they ran their defense last year?
Absolutely, and we all kind of pull our experiences of playing against those guys as they've been together. But that's where Coach Ryans has the most experience as a defense coordinator, so you see his identity, how they played, and then you're always checking the tape. Is it the same? Is it aligned? Is this who they are? And that's always kind of the research you do throughout the week to get a feel for it.
What kind of player is Will Anderson?
He's a good player. He's disruptive. He's a guy that for a long time when you go to the scouting combine and you talk to players and talk to Alabama, hey, who would you bring with you? Well, that's a common question. What teammate would you bring with you just to get research? For a couple of years, you've heard the name Will Anderson. So, I don't pay much attention to the defensive guys coming out of the draft and stuff, but I certainly knew his name. So when they were able to get back in there and get him at 3 and he's in the division, you're not exactly excited about that. So.
Got a rookie offensive tackle who are seeing these sorts of talented pass rushers. I mean, it's the NFL, but you're seeing impactful pass rushers
Yeah.
week in and week out. How does that help him to, I guess, grow faster?
Well, I mean, you got no choice. You're kind of out there. You either get it done or you don't. And again, it's on us as coaches to make sure we're putting him in the best possible position. If there's a way to provide help in some way, shape, or form, if there's things you can do schematically to take advantage or to protect certain matchups, then that's what you got to do. But playing right tackle in the NFL is tough. There's a lot of really, really good rushers that happen to be on that side nowadays. But one of the things we knew about Anton coming up that we vetted from people at Oklahoma and just his background and growing up was we felt like this was a kid that mentally would be tough. It's going to be hard as a rookie offensive tackle in the NFL, as a rookie offensive lineman. You could name the position. You're going to see tough guys every other week or so. But we felt like this was something that Anton would be able to handle as you went through the bumps and bruises of being a rookie offensive lineman.
Yeah, I talked to someone Monday about the need for players to sort of let the game come to them and not maybe press to make plays. As a coordinator, do you have to do that as well, just sort of let the offense?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you start feeling at times, you fight the feeling of, all right, we need a big play here. We need to spark momentum. Where, kind of what got us going last year a little bit was just sticking to our plan. We built a game plan that we believed in. We execute the plan regardless of the situation, and we chip away at whatever we needed to do to get ourselves going. And so you fight the urge to, have to start digging and looking for the big play when it's not necessarily there. Coach talks to the team all the time about, make the play that comes to you, don't go chasing plays. And that applies to all of us as coaches with, as myself as the play caller, the same idea of just stick to the plan that we created, we believed in from Monday to Saturday when there was no emotion involved in it. And so just stick to that, let the players make the plays, and that's where we want to go with things.
Do you feel like there's some pressure on this offensive unit? I mean, everybody's talked about it. It's going to be a top 5 offense, Super Bowl contenders, things like that. And then you see what happened last week. Do you think there's some pressure there, maybe?
I think something like that is natural. I think as you hear the noise and you hear if you let that get to you. But I think at the same time, we have very high standards. So it has nothing to do with, or at least from my perspective or the coaching staff's perspective, has nothing to do with outside noise or people. We expect a lot of ourselves. We expect to play to a certain standard that we felt like really through 2 weeks we haven't been able to achieve yet, or consistently at least. But we know we just keep chipping away. We trust the process that we've got in place for how we build game plans, how we practice, how we prepare the guys, and really just kind of double down on our process.
What was the biggest frustration point with the way the offense played last game? A lot of guys said that they were just upset with how they showed. Was it just because nothing seemed to go right? Was it that you saw the plays there and it just wasn't all coming together?
I mean, it's a play-by-play basis. I mean, there were certain things that took place that just overall led to a frustrating day. I think if you're able to punch a couple of those red zone opportunities in, the day feels very differently. I think the biggest thing, and we talked about this as a unit together on Monday, the biggest thing was we felt like we let down the 2 other units on our team. We felt like special teams and defense gave us opportunities to win the game, and as an offense, we didn't carry our weight and do our part. So that's where you feel the worst, is you feel like you let down the rest of the team.
All right, thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
So, Mike, what just stood out to you most about, I guess, the defense's efforts and their energy on Sunday?
Just guys playing together. I think they understood the game plan, went out, did a good job executing, and just had fun going out there playing hard.
Doug said he feels like just the defense in general, and especially the secondary, is more in sync. Do you think a lot of that's just second year in the system, second year together?
Oh, absolutely. Guys playing together, understanding each other, and the calls are the calls, so they know them. So they're just going out there and executing.
Coach, last year, right around this time, you guys played the Texans at home. Trayvon had, of course, that personal foul penalty. That sort of impacted the game. But I'm thinking, how much maturity growth have you seen from him since that game has taken place?
I think when you look at him, his games improved, and he's matured as a person and as a player. You see a lot of stuff that is a second time for him, so he's more comfortable doing different things, and he's locked and loaded, ready to go.
Is there any positive to playing rookie quarterbacks early in the season?
I don't think so, because there's so much unknown. You go back and you look at college film and you try to see what they did in college and see what the system they're going into, how that'll fit them. But at the end of the day, guys are gonna, go back to what's comfortable for them and what they're good at. And I think that's what we face. Just a lot of uncertainty, but we just go out there and try to play our game and try to make them adjust to us.
When you go against an offensive line that's as banged up as the Texans group is, how important is it for your defensive line group to take advantage of those matchups?
I think every week you go out there and you want to control the line of scrimmage, and that's one of our goals, and that's what we look to do every week. So, if we do what we're supposed to do, go out there and control the line of scrimmage and play well at the total defense, then things will fall into place.
I think Stroud threw for like more than 300 yards last week. Just what is he showing you in these first couple of games?
He's a guy I kind of knew a little bit coming into the college. My brother-in-law was with him, and I kept hearing about him. Great college quarterback, and he can do this. But when I watch him on film, he's poised. He's poised back there. He hasn't thrown an interception yet, and he's completing so many. I think he's like up in the 60% of his completion. So he's a guy that's poised, has good accuracy, and he's a quarterback that stands back in the pocket and makes good decisions.
What sort of matchups do the Texans have at wide receiver?
They're big outside. They're big guys, and once they get the ball in their hand, they're hard to tackle. And they're guys that's going to go up and compete for the ball. So he's a quarterback that can throw the ball and put it in the right spot, and they're big receivers that can go up and fight for it and go get it.
Damian Pierce had a game last time here. Just what has to change so that kind of contain their running attack?
We just have to, continue to focus on tackling. We didn't tackle as well as we wanted to last week, so another emphasis this week. But we have to go back and focus on it and try to get as many guys as we can to the ball, understand, let's do what we teach in practice, how to get guys down on the ground and go out and have another go at it this week.
Andre Cisco's interception. Just how special of a play was that, just to have that kind of range to make that play?
It was a good one because he missed one early. That's the thing, he's a guy that's going to get his hands on a lot of balls. He's that talented, and he has a great anticipation, but he missed the one early, and I was, like, it's going to come back to you, and it came back to him. He made a great break out of the middle of the field and, made a play.
Can you kind of tell sometimes early in the game if interceptions are going to happen? It seemed like before his interception, there were a couple passes that were, like, right there.
It's kind of hard because, you'll get opportunities. You just have to come down with them, but we touched the ball a couple times early on in the game, gave the quarterback a few different looks, but at the end of the day, they come in bunches, turnovers do, takeaways do, and we just want to put ourselves around the ball and put ourselves in a good position to be able to make, a couple of plays.
How much did you feel Josh Allen's pressure impacted that interception? Because if Mahomes gets more air under the ball, it's probably a touchdown. But he wasn't able to really. It looked like he wasn't able to really step into the ball the way he wanted because of the pressure Josh had.
I think that we say that all the time. They go together. The coverage and rush go together. Sometimes you'll be in a step behind and the pass rush will affect the throw. Sometimes you'll be in great coverage and pass rush won't be there. You'll need a couple of seconds. So they go together, and Josh does a good job of pressuring the quarterback. He had a big hit, but you never know when you're going to need your teammate, so that's why you're always accountable for your guys. You got to go out there, and I got to get to the quarterback, I got to cover, and it all goes together.
As that ball was sort of coming down, sometimes when a defender knows he's got to play catch-up to go to get equal with the receiver, he focuses on that and forgets to look up for the ball. But Andre found that ball pretty early on, where instead of spending all the energy on just running and not looking up, he showed some awareness.
Yeah, he did, but if you look at the play, really, Trey Herndon was in great position. He was on top of the receiver, and he threw the ball to the opposite hash. And we had a half-field safety over there, which was Andre, and he ended up, where he was supposed to be and made a good play.
Is there something you can put your finger on as to why the defense has been able to get off to such a strong start to the year?
We're 1-1, so strong start is we won one and lost one. So I don't know. I wouldn't call it a strong start. We're a work in progress. We're gonna go out there every week and try to do the best we can to give our team a chance to win.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach.